My dear student friends, I welcome you to my YouTube channel, The First Lecture. In earlier video lecture, I tried to explain you the objectives of this YouTube channel, my credibility to launch this channel, the motivation I got from different people to launch this channel, and what is the way of my teaching. All these things I have explained you in the earlier video lecture. In today's lecture, I will introduce you the syllabus contents of the 2 years, especially the 11th class. The syllabus of CBSE 11th class, 12th class was framed and the books were published by National Council for Education, Training, Research and Training. National Council Educational for Research and Training. This is the national agency, and the books, the syllabus prescribed by the NCERT was adopted by CBSE. About the books, the two books, 11th class and 12th class books, were written by well experienced and qualified teachers who are in the field for the last several years under the guidance of the reputed eminent biologists of the country. The syllabus is very beautifully framed so that it becomes the foundation for the future courses in the biology. In the syllabus was divided into the units. Altogether, there are 12 units, 5 units in the 11th class standard and 5 units in the 12th class standard. The syllabus covers almost all the disciplines of the biology, botany, zoology, microbiology, biochemistry, molecular biology, biotechnology, environmental biology, genetics. Like that, it covers almost all the disciplines of the biology. And these are distributed in 2 years. The 11th class standard mainly it describes about the basic aspects of the biology, whereas the 12th class standard syllabus, especially the applied aspects just like genetics, the human welfare, biotechnology, ecology and environment, these aspects are given in the 12th class standard. Now let us see the syllabus of the 11th class. As I told you, the syllabus is distributed in units. Each unit is divided into chapters. The chapters are further divided into sections, and at the end of each chapter, a summary is given highlighting the important aspects of the subject, and also at the end of the chapter, some revision questions are given so that to know whether the student has followed the that subject matter or not. At the beginning of each chapter, the contents are given. What are the aspects that will be going to deal in that particular chapter? Section wise they are given. The books are written in a beautiful way. The subject matter is very clear, very lucid, and it is described in a very simple language. The subject matter is supported with photographs, line diagrams, charts, comparative tables, so that the teacher and as well as the students can understand the subject, and he can also test himself, herself, whether he has followed the subject or not. Now, going to the syllabus of 11th class standard, the syllabus contents are divided into 5 units. The unit 1 deals with diversity in the living world. There is a great diversity in the living organisms, plants, animals, microorganisms. Within the plants, within the animals, there is a great variation, diversity. Even in the microorganisms also there is a lot of variation. That aspect is described in Unit 1. Unit 2 deals with the structural organization in plants and animals. In our surroundings, there are number of plants, number of animals. What is their structure, with what type of cells, with what type of tissues, with what type of organization they are made up of? That aspect is described in the Unit 2. Unit 3 deals with the cell. Cell is the structural and functional unit of the living organisms, right from unicellular organisms to highly evolved plants, animals. The body is made up of cells. What is the ultrastructure of the cell? Then what are the functions of the different cell organelles? How do the cells divide? Mitotic divisions, meiotic divisions, and what is the cell cycle? Then with what type of molecules the cells are made up of? Biomolecules. And similarly, in the cell, there will be a number of vital functions. These vital functions are catalyzed by the proteinaceous molecules known as enzymes or biocatalysts. These aspects are described in Unit 3. Unit 4 is about plant physiology. Higher plants are there, higher animals are there, even in lower plants, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms. There will be a number of physiological functions: absorption of water, nutrients, transport, transpiration, respiration, photosynthesis, nitrogen metabolism, flowering, production of fruits and seeds, then the growth. These are the aspects covered in plant physiology. Unit 5 deals with the human physiology. Human body is a living thing. If it has to maintain the living status, it has to perform a number of functions, right from taking the food, digestion, respiration, blood circulation, reproduction, nervous system, then hormones, locomotion, then the skeleton. All these aspects will be described in human physiology. Now, going to Unit 1, that describes about the diversity in the living world. It is divided into 4 chapters, dealt in 4 chapters. Chapter 1, living world. What is living? What is non-living? What is the difference between the living and non-living? How can we differentiate a living organism from the non-living things? What are the unique features of the living organisms? That aspect we will study. Similarly, here the taxonomic aspects, identification, nomenclature, classification. What is the hierarchy in the taxonomic things? Thus, chapter 2 deals with the biological classification. How are the living organisms classified? Because large number of organisms are there, very large number, right from microorganisms to plants and animals. Biologists were trying to classify the living organisms since ancient times, since the time of Theophrastus, Aristotle, Linnaeus. A number of classifications have been proposed time to time. So what are those classifications? Especially the classification proposed by R.H. Whitaker is described in your book. R.H. Whitaker classified all the living organisms into 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Plantae, Animalia, Mycete, that is fungal kingdom. And what are their characteristics? On what basis he divided the living organisms into 5 kingdoms? How can we differentiate one kingdom from another kingdom? What are the unique features of the different kingdoms? That will be studied in biological classification. Chapter 3 deals with the plant kingdom. The plant kingdom includes unicellular organisms to higher plants, algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms, again dicots, monocots. There are several plants. Then, what is the way of classification of the plant kingdom? What are the characteristic features? Suppose if you take algae. In algae again there are different types: chlorophyceae, rhodophyceae, phaeophyceae, basilarophyceae, like that. What are their characteristics? Where do they live? What is their mode of living? What is their mode of reproduction? Similarly, if you take bryophytes, pteridophytes, how do the bryophytes differ from the pteridophytes? How the gymnosperms differ from the angiosperms? What is the difference between the dicots, monocots? These aspects will be studied in plant kingdom. Chapter 4 deals with animal kingdom. Just like plants, in animals also, there is a lot of variation, large number of animals. Right from protozoa, of course now protozoa is included under the Protista, Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, Nemathelminthes, Annelids, Arthropods, non-chordates, chordates. Like the different types of animals are there. Then what is the difference between the different phyla, different classes, different groups? What is the organization in Porifera? What is the organization in Cnidaria? Whether cellular, whether tissue grade, organ grade, what is the symmetry? What is the type of coelom? What are the special characteristics? For example, annelids. The body is divided into annules, segments, arthropods, jointed appendages, jointed feet. Similarly, like this, some unique characters are there. So we will try to learn what are the different groups of the animal kingdom, what are the characteristic features, what are the representative members in the animal kingdom. Now, Unit 2 about structural organization in plants and animals. Structural organization, how their body is made up of. This is divided into 3 chapters. Chapter 5, that is deals with morphology of flowering plants. Because most of the plants that are useful to us, flowering plants, what is their morphology? For example, the plant body is differentiated: root, stem, branches, leaves, inflorescence, flowers. Within the flowers there are perianth, then essential organs like androecium, gynoecium, fruit formation, seed, embryo development. Such type of aspects, morphological aspects, external features, are described in chapter 5. Similarly, some important families, with respect to different characters, right from root to seed, with respect to different organs, what are the characteristics of the some families, selected families? Chapter 6 deals with anatomy of flowering plants. Anatomy means internal structure. Internal structure: root, it is underground. It absorbs the water and nutrients. It fixes the plant. Stem bears the branches, entire shoot system. So, according to the function, the internal structures vary. Internal structure of the root will be different from the internal structure of the stem. Similarly, anatomy of the leaf. Leaves are primarily photosynthetic. Other function is transpiration. Then how the leaf structure is suited or constructed with respect to photosynthesis to perform the photosynthesis. Similarly, to perform the photosynthesis. So, internal structure of the root, stem, leaf, and within this there is variation: dicot root, dicot monocot root, dicot stem, monocot root, dorsiventral leaves, isobilateral leaves. Similarly, there are many plants which are perennial trees, they grow for years together. In those plants, the primary anatomy, internal structure is not sufficient. Therefore, the plants will take up the secondary growth, either in the root or in the stem. How this secondary growth occurs? Secondary xylem, secondary phloem, periderm, cork, bark, all these things. So those aspects will be studied in anatomy of flowering plant. Similarly, structural organization in animals. Structural organization means here all the animals or the plants, basically they are made up of cells. Cell structure is described in a different unit. But here we will start what are the different types of tissues. Epithelial tissue, muscle tissue, nervous tissue, skeletal tissue. Like this, what are the different tissues with which the animals are made up of, they consist of. And these tissues are organized into organs, just like liver, heart, skin, muscle, bone, and such type of things will be studied in the structural organization of animals. Similarly, what are the different systems that I have developed? For example, respiratory system, reproductive system, blood circulatory system. So these aspects will be studied in chapter 7. Then unit 3 describes the cell structure and functions. This is distributed in 3 chapters, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10. Chapter 8 describes the cell, historical aspects, the cell structure at a microscopic level, the cell structure at a ultra level as seen under the electron microscope, What are the different structures? What are the different cell organelles, right from cell wall, plasma membrane, cytoplasm, cell organelles, nucleus, chromosomes? And what are their functions? How do they coordinate with each other? Similarly, what is the difference between the plant cells and animal cells? What is the difference between the prokaryotic cells, eukaryotic cells? So such things are described in the Cell. Chapter 9 describes about the biomolecule. So we know the cells are the structural and functional units of the all living organisms. But the cell in turn is made up of some molecules, some basic molecules. What are those basic molecules? We have carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids, DNA, RNA, and how these molecules make up the different cell organelles. What are the different types of, for example, if the carbohydrates are there, monosaccharides, polysaccharides, simple carbohydrates are there, then complex. In proteins also, there are variety types, lipids, then DNA, even DNA also there are different types, RNA also different types, mRNA, rRNA, tRNA. Then how these molecules, what are the nature of these molecules, with what type of elements they are made up of, where do they occur, what are their functions inside the living organism, in the cell. Chapter 10 deals with cell cycle and cell divisions. Reproduction is the basic character of all the living organisms. A parent cell undergoes divisions and produces the daughter cells. In higher plants, higher animals, parents reproduce and produce the offsprings. These daughter cells or offsprings in turn grow and again reproduce. This is a cell cycle. This goes on for several generations. The cell cycle includes interphase, mitotic phase. Interphase is again in turn divided into G1, S, G2. Then what events occur during the interphase? What events occur in the M phase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase? How this cell cycle is regulated, controlled. It is a well-regulated process. Cell division is a well-regulated process. Now we know very much about the cell cycle. If the cell cycle derails, if it is not regulated, a great problem arises, that is cancers. Then another aspect given is cell divisions. The cells undergo divisions, but the cell divisions are not the same type. Basically, there are three types of cell divisions. Binary fission usually occurs in Monera, bacteria, cyanobacteria, like that, yeast. Then mitotic divisions or equatorial divisions, reduction division or meiotic division. So what are the different phases? What is the importance of the mitosis? What is the importance of the meiosis? These aspects you will study in chapter 10. Then unit 4, plant physiology. Plant physiology. The plant physiology, anatomy, morphology, anatomy different. We study about one external features, internal features. But the living plants perform many functions. As I told you, they absorb the nutrients, water from the soil. These nutrients are transported upward translocation. Then there is a transpiration. There is a photosynthesis. there is respiration, there is a nitrogen metabolism, then there is growth, there is a reproduction, then fruit formation, then how do the plants flowering respond to the lighting conditions, photoperiodism. Such things will be studied in plant physiology. This is divided into 5 units. Chapter 11 deals with transport in plants. What is transport? Whatever the water, nutrients that are absorbed by the root system has to be transported into the shoot system. Similarly, the photosynthesis, carbohydrates that are synthesized in the leaves during the photosynthesis are required to be transported to the root system. That is called transport. Then chapter 2 deals with mineral nutrition. Plants require water, along with water some minerals, some elements, they are called essential elements, which are divided broadly into macro elements, micro elements. In nature there are several elements, but all are not required for the plants. Only about 15-16 are required. They are categorized into macro elements, which are required in large quantities, then micro elements, very minute quantities, then how these elements are absorbed from the soil, in what form, and what is their essentiality. Suppose if you take magnesium, magnesium is required for chlorophyll synthesis. Without chlorophyll synthesis, there is no photosynthesis. Just like that, every element, essential element, has a role to play inside the plant body. So that is called mineral nutrition. Chapter 13 deals with photosynthesis in higher plants. Photosynthesis is a very important phenomena in nature. That is the basis for all the living organisms. Directly, indirectly, it provides the food. Plants being chlorophyllous, green, they perform the photosynthesis, they carry the photosynthesis. They absorb the light, sunlight. They absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and synthesize the carbohydrates inside the chloroplast. Light phase reactions, dark phase reactions, photophosphorylation, Calvin cycle, such aspects will be studied in chapter 13. Chapter 14 describes about respiration in plants. Besides photosynthesis, plants respire. Respiration is the oxidation of food materials to generate the energy. Carbohydrates are there, lipids are there, proteins are there. Whenever energy is required, these materials are oxidized, broken down into smaller molecules. During that, energy is released. For oxidation purpose, oxygen is required. Of course, different types of respirations are there, anaerobic respiration, aerobic respiration. But here, only aerobic respiration is described. You know, you got some idea in lower classes. It is further divided into 3 phases: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport chain. And it is a gradual breakdown of macromolecules into very simpler molecules, and thus the energy will be released. That is the respiration. Chapter 15 deals with plant growth and development. It is a common observation that the plant grows day by day. And during the growth, there will be a lot of differentiation. When the seed germinates, there will be only 2 cotyledons, 2 young leaves. As it grows, roots develop, stems develop, branches, leaves. Then how do they differentiate? How do they develop? What is the mechanism involved? Indirectly, some chemicals, some hormones are involved. At one stage, at particular season, the plant produces flowers. What makes the plant to produce the flowers? Some chemicals, some hormones, auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid. At particular one season, the tree sheds all the leaves. This is a very wonderful phenomenon because of abscisic acid. So such aspects we will study in the plant growth and development. Then chapter 5 about human physiology. In human body also there are many vital functions. Without these vital functions, we cannot maintain our body in the living condition. When the vital function cease, it is dead, body is dead. So in order to keep the body in living condition, many vital functions need to be performed. This unit is divided into 7 chapters. Chapter 1, chapter 16 deals with digestion and absorption. Think over it. Why do we take the food? Is it to quench the hunger? No. We take the food because our body needs the energy. Our body needs some chemicals to maintain our body, cells, tissues, organs. So, what type of food materials are taken? What is the process of digestion? Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and how are they absorbed into the blood? And how are they absorbed in turn into the tissues? This is about digestive system, digestion. Chapter 17 deals with the breathing and exchange of gases. Breathe, we breathe. Inspiration, expiration, inhalation, exhalation. So why? We take the air. Through the air, the oxygen enters into lungs. The oxygen will be taken by the hemoglobin. It is transported to the different organs, used for the oxidation of various materials. During different metabolic functions, for example, tissue, a muscle tissue functions. During the functioning of the muscle, carbon dioxide is generated. So that carbon dioxide is a unwanted one, sometimes toxic. It has to removed. It is transported to the lungs and removed through the exhaled air. So such things will be described in chapter 17, that is breathing and exchange. Chapter 18 deals about body fluids and circulation. A different terminology is given generally in lower classes. It is described as blood circulatory system. There are multicellular organisms. The body is differentiated into different organs, large size. So the material need to be transported from one part to another. For transport purpose, a system has developed that is called blood, a blood circulatory system. The blood circulatory system includes heart, arterial system, venous system. Then what is the composition of the blood? What is the structure of the heart? How it pumps the blood, pure blood, and collects the impure blood. These aspects will be studied in chapter 18. Chapter 19 deals with excretory products and their elimination. So different organs perform different functions, assigned functions. They have their own functions. When they do carry the functions, some waste materials are produced. For example, ammonia, urea, uric acid. These are to be periodically removed from the body, otherwise they are not only waste, they become toxic, they damage the tissues. In order to remove the waste materials, a system has developed that is called excretory system. If you go through the different animals, you find different excretory organs. In vertebrates, in chordates, there are kidneys, whose main function is to remove the nitrogenous waste materials. Chapter 20 deals with locomotion and movement. In search of food, in search of protection, in search of some other materials, the animals move from one place to another. So in order to move, there should be some organs, some structures like muscles supported by skeleton. Then what are the different muscles present in our body? How do they function? And these muscles are again different types, voluntary, involuntary. Then chapter 21 deals with the nervous system. In order to coordinate the different organs and their functions, a system has developed. In order to give responses to the changes in the environment in favor of the organism, a system has, that is called nervous system. It includes brain, nerve cord, peripheral nervous system, central nervous system, neurons, sense organs. All these are included under the nervous system. Chapter 22, last chapter, deals with chemical coordination and integration. Of course, nervous system coordinates. In addition to nervous system, there are some glands, there are certain chemicals produced by those glands, the endocrine glands or hormones, chemicals produced by them. They are chemical messengers. They also coordinate. Their functions are different from the nerves, but overall bringing the coordination between the different organs and regulating the body growth, body functions and other things. These are described in chapter 22. Thus, the syllabus is divided into 10th class syllabus is divided into 5 units. The 5 units are further divided into 22 chapters. So these are the syllabus contents of your biology subject. Students, remember, take the books, carefully study them, unit wise, chapter wise, section wise, follow the diagrams, go through the summary, and when you complete a particular chapter, try the questions given at the end of each chapter. There are different types of questions, multiple type questions, right or wrong, match the following, then very simple questions or essay type of questions, so that you can answer the questions given in the annual examinations or in the entrance examinations. So this, in the next class, we will start the unit 1.